I believe in aliens. I believe in exorcism. Because you know that what trauma's like because you've been through it, and that's why you're like that. Society today where it's like, how do I fix this the fastest I can fix it? Why do you need to be surrounded by shit all the time? Like, why?
Welcome to Tea with Tori. I'm your host, Tori, and today the tea is hot.
What's up, Spillers? Welcome to a new episode of Tea with Tori. I am your host, Tori, and today I have a very special guest. Please let the Spillers know who you are and just a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ayan Broomfield. I'm so excited to be here today. And a little bit about myself. Okay, so I am Canadian. I'm from Toronto. East Coast girl. I moved here to LA because I was going to UCLA.
Okay.
Play tennis there, and then fell in love with the city. Tried to move back to Florida, try to go everywhere else. No, couldn't do it. So I stayed here in LA. And then I've been here. Oh my God. Fuck, how long have I been here for? 4 years.
Oh my God. Same.
No.
Yeah.
From New York?
Yeah.
4 years.
March of 2023 will be 5 years.
And you love it here?
Love it here.
Yeah, I don't see myself living anywhere else.
My parents moved out here. That's how much me and my siblings love it here.
Ooh.
They moved from New York. Like, their dream was to move to New York, and then they moved to LA
because of you guys.
Of us.
My parents would never.
And then my boyfriend's parents are out here too, so it's like,
oh, so it's like this is home.
Yeah,
must be nice.
it's very nice.
But yeah, no, 4 years, and I have no plans of going back. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
So when did you start playing tennis?
Oof. I think I started when I was about 3 or 4, honestly, because my older sister played. My dad ran track, so he was kind of like the sporty person. He coached my sister and I she's 3 years older, so I was about 5 and she was about 8. And I saw the love of the sport in her eyes, and that was so inspiring to me that I was kind of like, look, I got to just keep this going, you know? And I got to a point where like my number one goal was to get better than my sister. So I had all these other sports that I was doing, and I was like, no, like that's my only goal. So I stuck with it. But yeah, I've been playing for a long, long time.
Did you ever have like a break point, or you just kept like 3 and you kept going? Because I watched the Olympics and I was like, I want to be a gymnast. Yeah. So like 3 years old, I'm literally already in tumbling classes, already doing gymnast things. By the time I turned 12, they had my parents come into the office and they were like, oh shit, because my dad's 6'3".
Okay.
My mom is 5'9".
Okay.
They were like, absolutely no way. Like, you're going to be too tall.
Yeah.
You're just going to fuck up your body essentially to not even be able to be that
That's
successful.
Whack they told you that.
Right?
Why? Like, they should let you like go for it.
But even if you look at it, like Nastia Lukin is one of the tallest girls, and she's 5'6". I'm 5'9" and a half. It's just like the flipping and stuff. It's just the body.
Yeah. So then they made you quit? Like at that
They
point?
didn't make me quit, but at that point I was like kind of dabbling into music.
Okay.
And started to take classical piano and singing
beautiful.
lessons. So they were like, all right, you got 2 hobbies kind of as a kid. We got 3 kids. Like, you got to pick something. So I was like, all right, I feel like I could have more of a future with music.
Same here. You had to like kind of like focus. That's what my dad told me. So I was doing like tennis, basketball, track and field, swimming, soccer. And my dad was like, okay, hold on. Like we didn't come from very we didn't come from the best situation. Mm-hmm. So my dad's like, hold on, like let's just focus on something and like go after it. And yeah, so I was inspired by tennis, and then obviously you see like Venus and Serena, so like they're a huge inspiration for us. So we were like, let's be like them, and then we just kept on with it.
So did your sister still play as well?
So my sister went to Marshall University on a tennis scholarship as well, but she's actually currently in law school.
Okay.
So she's kind of like taking tennis and like going a different route with it, but yeah, she still like watches it, and if I'm playing, she'll like come out. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Williams sisters. I saw on your Instagram that you were the tennis double essentially for the movie. What was that experience like?
Gosh. Like, honestly, the best experience
King
of my
Richard,
life.
by the way, is what we're referencing.
Yeah. No, best experience of my life. I mean, just seeing, first of all, Will Smith, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nothing but positive things to say about him. But I mean, just seeing how the production actually came together after being a part of it for so long and seeing all the background stuff was unbelievable. And then there was stuff about their personal story that I had no idea about, and I was learning as we were going along. I was like, oh, did that happen? Wow, like interesting. And their story is so incredible. It's so incredible, and it's inspired so many different people. So I was just like in awe the whole time. like literally, like I was like this the whole time, like because I'm unbelievable.
Well, I feel like that's even bigger for you than like an actor, because for an actor it's like, oh wow, this is a great role for me, but for you, you're like, this is like an icon in what I've done since I was 3.
Well, that's the thing, and you see the parallels of like what they were doing when they're young, and you're like, wait, like I did that, like I was training with my dad, we were at these courts, we were doing this, you know, I actually worked with her junior coach, and it's like it's a little overwhelming just seeing where they started and where they ended up. It's unbelievable.
What did you think about her retirement speech?
It was okay. So
did you tear up a little bit?
Yeah, we were in New York at the time, so we were going to all of her matches, and it was like, it was vintage Serena, like the resilience. She just wouldn't quit.
Going out
she
with the
kept
bang,
going.
man.
And you know, they had like the first match, they had this whole thing, and I was like, were they prepared for her not to get through this? Like, hey, this is the GOAT. Like,
literally,
she's gonna make it. You know, so. I think everyone was tearing. I think everyone, even a hater or lover, you felt something. You have to respect what she's accomplished in the sport, and it's just everyone can take away a little piece of her story or her persona or her personality. Like, you just take what you can from it, and everyone's been touched by the Williams sisters, so it's like it was definitely emotional for all of us.
Would you definitely call her like one of your like strong female role models?
Yes, 100%. Like, maybe because I've lived this tennis life, I think maybe she probably is my role model, like female role model, my top female role model ever.
So that must have been like incredible to watch her, and then to like watch her like,
my gosh, it's
kind of like lay the racket down.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime she's in the room, like if I'm there and she's in the room, it's still, it's weird. Like, we're talking and I'm like, hold on, like this is Serena Williams. Like,
did you like kind of like shit yourself when you met her?
It's not even about like it was just more of a whoa, like, and she's so just down to earth and humble, and you're just like, wait, but you've accomplished everything, you know, and you're that girl. So I don't know, it's still overwhelming.
So you say you saw a lot of similarities with the Williams sisters being trained by their dad.
Yeah,
obviously you had a very supportive family then when it comes to your athletic career. How would you say your family like always kind of let you know that they were there for you and that they supported? Were they at every tennis game? Were they driving you to every practice? Like, was it that type of thing?
So really my dad was like incredibly supportive. I mean, he did everything. He would drive us to practice, he would stay to practice, he would watch, he would make sure, you know, everything that we needed he provided. He was like the sports guy. Yeah. My mom wasn't like a sports woman, but she was always more
like, I support you.
Yeah. She was more, you know, she taught us more like life lessons and how to carry yourself and who the type of person that you want to be, especially as, you know, somebody that might be in front of cameras, that might be, you know, in the public eye, like how to be courteous and generous and loving. So she really taught us that aspect, but my family is like, I couldn't have done anything without them. I'm still calling my mom. I'm like, Mom, how do I do this? Like, like anything that
my
happens.
Parents literally just left before you got here.
Yeah.
They literally were just over here.
You know what's funny? It's like parents, it's like you think it's like, 18 years. Like,
no,
look, I'm 25. I call my mom with the slightest inconvenience. She's getting a call.
My mom is 54 and she calls her mom almost every day.
Best friends. Literally.
It's till you die. It's not a 18-year job.
No. It's like for life. So yeah, I mean, my family's been great. It helps that also like my sister played tennis when she was younger, so she can
like a family affair.
Yeah, and everyone knows what's going on and what I'm feeling like physically and mentally. So everyone's just so supportive, and I think it's so important in anything that you're doing, like to have that like structure and base. Oh my God, it helps so much.
So tennis is not just a family affair for you. It's a relationship affair as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit. What is the meet cute story? I need to know. How did this happen?
Okay, it's crazy.
I imagine like you hit a ball and like he catches it and he's like, oh, damn, little mama. Like, can I take you to dinner?
No, you know what's funny? It's like every time someone asks us, we're always looking at each other because it's like, we want it to be this beautiful love story fairy tale, and it's like very like not at all. I mean, so one of the girls that we both, so I knew this girl, her name was Vicky Duval, and she played tennis, and Frances knew her as well from like junior tennis, and we knew of each other, but we were like completely two different people at that time. I was like, very antisocial and like to myself and like this, and Francis was like a social butterfly, just like laughing and giggling and just friends with everyone. So like honestly, if we had met when we were younger, probably wouldn't have meshed at all. But as we grew older, we got to know each other, and then he reached out to me. We became friends actually for a while. I think we were friends for a year before we even started dating. And so we met up once in New York. He was like, come to my tournament. I said no, I was playing hard to get. But
I'm like, I have my own tournaments.
Right.
You can come to mine first.
And then my parents were like, oh, Ayan, by the way, we're going to New York. So I was like, fuck. Like, okay, we'll be there anyway.
Like, now I have to go. My family's going. My mom made me come.
Literally what I said. I was like, I have to be there. Like, whatever. So I met up with him and we hit it off like instantly. We were just like so in sync. He's amazing. He's like the most loving and caring person I've ever met in my life. So literally, and then my mom was very strict. She was like, you're not going out, you're not partying, you're not going to anyone's house. Like, if they want to hang out with you, they come to our house. That was like
my parents.
Yeah. It's like, I've like never been on a sleepover. Like, everything's happening at our place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was strict, but I mean for the best, but whatever. So she was like, if anyone, you want to hang out with anyone, they have to be at our place. So he like came, it's like the second day we've been together, and it's like he's meeting my grandma and my aunt and my uncle and my grandpa and my mom and my dad. I was like, oof, this is a lot. This is intense, but it ended up being fine. They loved him. So yeah, and the rest is history. I mean, it's been 7 years now.
Oh my God.
7 years. Grinding.
So you were 18.
Yeah. So yeah, 18. We were friends for a year, 17
to 18.
Yeah, 16, 17, 18. And then we started dating.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you, balancing like relationship and career and two people with like obviously very strong, powerful careers?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been up and down, if I'm being honest. I think, so first off, like he went pro, he turned pro when he was, I should know this, maybe right around that time. Like,
yeah.
I think he turned pro a little bit after we started talking. And he didn't do the college route. So that was very different right off the bat. Like, we're dating and right away I'm going to school.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I was very sheltered and like I hadn't seen the world. Yeah. So I'm like coming into school and I was like, whoa, there's freedom and there's parties and there's all these different.
There's no curfew.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not expected to be home at 9, you know?
Literally.
And it was just so different for me. And we had to maneuver through that. And then also the distance. Oh my goodness, the distance. It's like,
how much distance did y'all do?
Like, it would be maybe like see each other once every 2 months. It's
oh damn.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that type of distance. And then when you see him, it's like for like 24 hours. So it's like, yeah. And then there's questioning. You're like, oh, like, what is the point? You know? Literally. And it's like, we're just like pen pals. Like, what is this? And I think we just had such a strong connection that we're just like, no, we're going to get through this. At some point, it's not going to be like this anymore. But it definitely had its ups and downs. And then I think coming out of school, there was this period where it was like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing now. He's trying to figure out what he's doing, but it's the same thing. He's like doing the same thing for the next 30 years. It's me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to maneuver myself. And I think there was a time where it was a little tough because it was like, I didn't know how to balance my goals and then also being like supportive of what he needed to do because he has a gift, you know, and it's like, you don't want to be selfish and try and look at what you're doing and not help him. Like, you know, it's like balancing.
100%.
It's a lot. And you want to be the best girlfriend, but you also want to be the best you.
Woman, yeah.
Yeah. And make sure that you're feeling fulfilled. So that was like something that we had to figure out, but now we're kind of in a place where it's a good balance. So we're happy now.
Have y'all discussed marriage or anything?
Oh boy.
I mean, I ask because it's 7 years. It's
I
not
know.
like
I think for me, like,
it's not a tiny relationship. It's not a.
It's crazy. We're getting up to the age where like that's a conversation. Like,
definitely, yeah.
That's crazy.
I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years, and I don't think it's ever not been a conversation. I met him when I was 26.
You know, like, that's the thing.
Have you guys have you talked about it at all, or is it just kind of like assumed?
I think at this point,
Ride together, die together. Bad boys for life.
Bad boys for life. I'm telling you. No, I think at this point it's kind of like we want to make sure like we're doing the right steps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, like we've never lived together before. Like that's something that, hey, like let's see if this even works, you know? Like there's different.
That's insane that in 7 years y'all have never lived together.
Never lived together. And that's, you know.
But it's also you met so young. It's not like, oh, we met when we were 25 and now we're 32 and we've never lived together.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, it's
but
if you think about it,
college, like all these things.
Yeah, so it's 7 years, but is it like really 7 years?
Yeah.
You know? So I think like going through those steps, like I think now we're going to start talking about that and like sharing space, and that's the next step. So I think, I mean, marriage is like, whew, like I can't, like that's a lot. So like that's in a while. But yeah, I think we're just keep like as a relationship, like trying to keep going and keep like the steps moving forward, and trying to do it like the right way. But while still focusing on like what we need to do as individuals and as like a relationship together and our goals. So but it's like, I don't know, we'll see.
What is the biggest thing that you're working on balancing in your life right now?
Funny you should ask. So I've kind of went through this transition recently where before I never traveled. I never went on tour with him. I didn't go to very many events. I just felt like focus on yourself, get your goals done. And as I've matured, I've realized that you can shift goals. You can shift like mentality as you go along. So I think recently I'm like traveling a little bit more and it's fun and he's doing well and we're, you know, getting closer as a couple. And for me, that was a big change because I was so anti-travel, being on the road, being, you know, that girl. And I think I've realized like
the tennis wife.
Yeah. You know, but it's like, hey, like that's a part of you.
Yeah.
Like you have to accept that that's part of the lifestyle. It's part of what you've, you know, created together. So I'm like living into it a little bit more now. But yeah, I think it's definitely easier because I'm starting to do more like on social media and getting more into that platform. And I think it's meshing well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to maneuver. I guess I haven't completely figured it out, but I'm trying.
One of my big tips, because I'm always traveling.
Yeah.
I moved to LA and I was like, wait, if you're an influencer, you get to travel for free and people will pay you for these things?
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop traveling.
I know. That's the thing.
I'm always on the road. It's just really setting up like a morning ritual for yourself and a nightly ritual to like keep yourself on track.
Okay.
And like, I honestly like to keep reading a book through everything.
Huh.
Because like I feel like that's grounding as well as like crystals and like meditation, yoga is extremely
it the same
grounding
every
for me.
day?
My like morning ritual, will be about the same. It'll be like wake up, write in my productivity journal, write down my manifestations, say my manifestations. I want to start incorporating breath work into my mornings, like 5 minutes of breath work, like fitness, some type of workout, yoga. Yeah,
that's something I have to get back into.
Like making sure you keep those daily practices that keep you like aligned and like going, even while you're going.
Yeah, I think I have to. I mean, yeah,
it's hard. I know. Trust me. Like I know. I get it.
It's tough, but you have to for yourself, for your own health, like and happiness.
And you're just like, think about when you're off, you're irritable, like you don't want to do things, like you're not a good partner to your partner anyway. So it's like, I need to take these 15 minutes every morning
for
myself so that I can be a good person for myself and for you.
Yeah. I think like one thing that I've changed, it's like, okay, if I am traveling, I used to like go to the site and be there all day and just be like, I didn't feel like I was my own person. I'm like, hey, like this is too much for me. Like I can't be at the tennis site all day long. So for me now, it's like, okay, if his match is later on during the day, that's my time. Yeah. You know, I'll go travel. I'll see the city. I'll talk to people back home. Like I'll do my work. That's my time. So I don't feel like I'm just like there, you know? So
what's your favorite place you've been?
I just got back from Tokyo. My favorite city.
Favorite?
Ever. I loved it. It was like the food, amazing. The architecture, amazing. The people. so peaceful, so like just
Tranquil.
oh my gosh, like everyone's just on the same vibe. Just like,
Yeah.
hey, like everyone's respectful and just polite and helpful. I was like, this is a different world out here.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's in Japan. Instead of sending kids right to like school to learn math and all those things for the first 3 years, they go to school to like learn etiquette and how to be like a respectful, cleanly, organized human being.
I didn't know that.
Which would make sense
That
because
makes
if
so
you
much
look
sense.
at Japan, even the architecture is like all the cupboards can be open
Yeah.
because their shirts are fucking folded. Like
Yes.
the America is like giant closet, but
No.
make sure it's got a door so
you
you
can
can
even
shove all your things
Well, this
in
is
there.
the thing, and you can even tell in the food. You can just tell the quality and the it's so precise. And I was just like, hey, like I'll stay here. Like I don't need to go back. I'm good.
I can live here.
I can
right?
live here. I could see it. I was walking around. I'm like, ooh, like I could be in that condo.
You're like, can I teach tennis here?
right. Literally, I'm like trying to find a job for myself in Tokyo.
Literally, like, where can I?
Yeah. No, but my favorite place ever.
So what's like your big plan for yourself? Because I feel like when you do something kind of for your whole life, there's either like the path of teaching it or like becoming extremely successful at it and
Yeah.
retiring or like
Yeah.
becoming an advocate for something in it. Like, what is kind of your vision for yourself?
Yeah. So I think tennis is one of those like funny sports where there's so much crossover. Like the amount of people and connections and like the network I have from tennis, I would never have been able to create it without this sport.
Yeah.
So like I owe everything to tennis. So I feel like for me, it'd be very, very difficult seeing myself outside of the tennis world, just because, I mean, you do something for so long, you technically have like a PhD
I was
in
about
the
to say,
sport.
like, you're an expert. Like, you've gotten your 10,000 hours.
I
for
have my
sure.
10,000 hours,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, I'm going to try and put it to use. So right now I'm working on like creating my foundation and working with that. I want to, you know, start kind of giving back to like from where I came from. I was like not technically like supposed to play tennis, you know?
Yeah.
And I think especially as like an African American woman, I want to be able to provide more opportunities for other people that might be in my situation. So I'm really, really going to like focus head on this foundation. And I can see it just changing so many people's lives. So right now, like that's my main focus. But other than that, I think I want to keep growing through social media. I really enjoy creating content. I think it's really fun. And I think like especially in our generation, it's like the biggest impact is through social media.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like everything gets done through that. So I really want to keep focusing on that. But those are like my two main things right now.
Could you see yourself being like an announcer, or like having a show about tennis?
Yeah, that's my friend
I
and
said something that works.
Yeah, no, my friend and I were literally just talking about it, and I think it kind of just plays into me as a person. I am like a very like I'm a Leo, so I'm like out there.
Yes, I'm a Sagittarius. I literally, bro, I'm like taking out my trash in my freaking podcasting outfit, all makeup done
Yeah,
up, and
I
she's
love
like
it.
in my driveway, and she's like, "Hey, girl, your brother's hilarious." I was like, "Hey, girl, I'm just taking my trash out."
No, I'm seriously like carbon copy. Like, if you look at what a Leo is, like that's me.
It's you.
And you know, you have to try and take your attributes and put it towards something. And I think that would be something that's super fun to me. It's like I know about tennis, and I am like someone that enjoys talking to people and conversating. So I think it could work. And there might be stuff in the works, but
Oh,
yeah,
she
but
said there might be stuff in the works.
yeah, there's definitely some ideas, but yeah, I think it would be great. That'd be really fun.
So I have to tell you how I even found your Instagram.
Oh my god, tell me. Stop. I hope
It's
not
gonna be
something
the funniest
whack,
story. You're gonna
okay?
be like, "Wow, the universe."
Stop, tell me.
So, my boyfriend trains a couple other people in the neighborhood in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And they were going to go to the U.S. Open, and he got invited. And we were supposed to go.
Okay.
It was like the first weekend that I was going to be in Puerto Rico. He wound up having to work.
Okay.
So his client and his wife go, and she's like, "Oh my God." She falls in love with your boyfriend, his story, everything. She's like, and he has the most beautiful girlfriend. She looks kind of like you. Like, you should honestly like check her page out. And she sends it to me, and I was like, yo, this girl is so dope. I wonder if she's even in LA. And like, I'm of course like page security detective fucking secret service.
I love
your
it.
Page, and I'm like, oh shit, she went to UCLA. She might be here. She might still be out here. Maybe she still goes there. I'm like doing all my research. I'm like, oh shit, she's still here. And I literally DM'd you. And I think the next day I was hanging out with her, and you responded, and I was like, oh my god, and we like got so excited.
I love it. I swear, I literally saw that message. Where was I? I wasn't even here. Where was I? I don't remember.
No, you weren't, because you were like, I'm
I
traveling.
think I was in Europe.
I think you're about to go to Europe from New York.
I was probably in London. Yeah, no, and I checked out your page. I'm like, oh my god, like she's everything. She's everything. Like I have to. Yeah, no, I love it.
So
cute.
One of my favorite movies is the story of Billie Jean King, the Battle of the Sexes movie. Have you experienced? I feel like in your generation, it's kind of people are aware of it, so it's not as intense as back then. But have you kind of experienced what I kind of explain as like passive sexism in your world?
You know, it's funny. It's ish kind of. I think it's more so in comparison. Like people compare a lot, and for example, because I am dating someone that did make it to like the highest levels, I've experienced it a little bit in terms of like, well, you can come because of him, or you can do this because of him. And I don't know if that's sexism, more as like, I've done stuff too, you know, and like I've earned my spot too. But I don't know if I would go into sexism. Like personally, I don't think I've ever dealt with it to my face. I don't know, maybe behind closed doors, but yeah, I would say that would probably be the closest.
But even more so of like male athletes getting better treatment, or having like better locker rooms, or better scholarship opportunities, or things like that, or taken more seriously, even that they're an athlete.
Yeah, for me, I think it would be more just in terms of like pay grade. There's a big discrepancy with like men's pay and women's pay. With that being said, of all women's sports, tennis, like we get paid the most. Like I know really, really athletic females and like talented females that play in the WNBA, and they get paid nothing compared. Like I think the top 10 highest paid female entertainers were all tennis, or athletes were all tennis players, which kind of sucks. You know, it's like, hey, like there's other women that are just as talented in other sports that aren't reaping those benefits.
Well, it's also a solo sport though. Like you don't have
true.
a team to divide between.
That's true.
Which is like a huge thing. It's like you also don't have a team to rely on. Like
That's
if you're having a shitty day, you and your man break up, or you're fighting
That's
and
true.
you're crying all morning, like you don't have a, hey, can you sub me out team?
That's true.
Like you are the one that's hitting the ball every single time. It's only your accuracy. It's only
on you.
It's all on you.
Yeah, I agree.
So I understand the pay shift. However, I feel like that shouldn't make them make less.
Yeah.
That's substantially less.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, speaking of Billie Jean, she's amazing. I met her for the first time, and she was like, blew my mind. Like the conversation she's having, she's telling me about all the stuff she's done, and I already knew, but when she goes into detail about it, you're like, wow, you're the GOAT. Like you're the real GOAT.
It's the stuff they take out of the documentary because like that's boring, and I'm like, no, I want to know.
Yeah, no, she's incredible. She's incredible. But I think she has done so much for women's sports, like starting with like Title IX. I mean, she created the WTA, you know, like from scratch. Like there was nothing there. And then she's still working so hard for this, especially like gender equality and pay equality. Also Venus Williams is like very an advocate for it as well. And like now our Grand Slams, I'm like 95% sure we have the same pay grade for Grand Slams, and that's huge already. And I think the movement's trying to have it be for all events, which is, it's going to be an uphill battle. But I mean, women, it's tough because they say that, you know, men bring more fans than women. But when you put them in the right circles, you put us in the right circles, we're bringing just as many people.
Literally.
So it's a tough argument that they make. But It's our situation.
It is, but I feel like at the end of the day, the more voices are lent to the cause, the stronger people can, the less people can kind of like turn away from it. The more people are talking about it, the more it's in your face, the less you can kind of like shoo it to the corner and say it's not important.
Right.
That is one thing that like I do love Jake Paul is his huge advocacy for like women being paid in sports, and him just advocating for Amanda Serrano every time and like get that woman the bag. These women should get paid. They're still in there getting their asses beat. Like, you're still putting in just as much time and training and energy and man hours and money and support from your family as the men. So it needs to be treated as such.
It's true.
And like, women will never want to really get into the sport and take sports seriously if there's no women's celebrity. There's no like women's sports athletes that are like hugely famous really, other than like Venus and Serena and like the handful of women. They're not really getting paid very much. So it's like,
what's the point?
But it's such a huge thing, and it's something that should be honestly like more advocated for than it is.
I agree. And it's tough. It's really tough, because also like, if you're not playing tennis, or you're not a golfer, or you're not a basketball player, like there's other
go to the Olympics.
You know what I mean? But there's other sports that like are even worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, that might be your passion, and people are going to dissuade you from it because you can't make any money from it.
Literally.
And that's like kind of the thing that I've always wanted to do, is be able to make money doing what I want, like what I love, and what I'm passionate about. And I think that's like when you're really winning in life, you know? So I think it sucks, but we just have to keep pushing forward with it.
What would be your message to some 10, 11-year-old girl out there that wants to play tennis?
You know, honestly, I would go for it. If I have a daughter, I would put my daughter into tennis. First of all, you're going to meet so many people. You're going to have connections that you would never have with other routes. And then on top of that, like, because of what Billy did with the Title IX, bare minimum, you can go and try and get a scholarship and get college paid for. Like, bare minimum, you know, there's ample amount of scholarships, ample amount of D1, D2, D3 schools. And it's like, go get your education paid for and start off. You know, if you want to do further, like, start off with no debt, like bare minimum, you know? And I think that's something that people don't talk about enough. Like, having your undergrad paid for is such a huge deal. And it's a leg up against other people that are going to start off their life in debt. You don't have to deal with that. So that alone, I think, is something that people should talk about more and get more girls to play tennis. I think that's a huge incentive.
What would you tell someone that is not necessarily in the best financial situation and wants to get into playing tennis?
I would say really try and, if your parent isn't your coach, I would try and find a coach that cares.
Yeah.
Don't look for the best coach. Look for the coach that's going to give you their 110%, because especially in tennis, it's about the hard work and it's about the passion, and hard work and passion will beat talent every single time. So if you are passionate about it and you really do want to pursue tennis, find someone that will help, that really believes in you, that'll go the extra mile, that will wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the public court with you and practice, that will stay a little bit longer for your lesson because they want to help you out. And, you know, you just need someone that wants
that cares.
That cares for you. Because as long as you have the passion, you can really you don't need the fancy country club, you don't need the fancy racket. Like, I used my sister's hand-me-downs for years, and
like, that's all I needed.
It's like, it's all I needed. I didn't care like what string was in my racket. I was like, let me just go on the court and just fight and grind and work my ass off, you know? So I think if you have the passion for it, just find someone who cares. And there's also a lot of different programs. Like, there's nothing wrong with going to a community center and hitting against the wall. There's nothing wrong with, you know, getting that, you know, hand-me-down or old racket,
thrift store, Goodwill, just get something to start.
And then study the game. YouTube is free, you know? YouTube is free, and a lot of people didn't have that like 10, 15 years ago. I don't know when YouTube came out, but I don't remember it being huge when I was younger. And it's like,
not at all.
You can learn so much online. There's the different things like footwork drills that you can work on, or I don't know, but like, do your research and like really go after it, because anyone can do anything in this world. If there's everything's open.
Have you ever thought of putting out like an ebook of drills?
Look at you with ideas.
That's literally what I That's like what I do.
Stop.
I'll just literally sit with my friends. They'll say something. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to keep reminding you about that idea that you have because I think it's really smart.
I've never even thought about that. Of having like,
You can literally put them on Teachable. It's a whole passive income thing.
hey,
You
stop.
put little clips on YouTube, so it's advertisement.
Oh, I love that. You also get paid from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Get your man involved. Do some couples drills.
hey. Okay, I'll cut you in if we ever do that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Pop out a kid. Now you're doing kids drills.
Not a kid.
This is a long-term plan.
Look, I don't.
This is a long-term.
Don't put into existence. Like, I'm just like, hold on for a second. Like, let's chill out a bit. It's like, I just turned 25. It's like, I don't need stress.
Listen, I'm not saying tomorrow. It'll be 10 years from now. This plan has longevity. That's what I'm saying.
I love it.
It's far-reaching.
Oh, I love it. Thinking big. Big
Thinking
picture.
big.
Yeah.
100%.
I love it.
Do you have anything else you would like to share with the Spillers that you have coming up?
No, just look. I'm going to be posting more about
No, but wait, hold on. Just this.
I am going to be posting more about like my day to day and like what's going on. And I think it is genuinely a very different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of people of color in this sport. I think it's definitely a different avenue. And I'm going to be trying to promote it more and post more about it and kind of let more people into my day to day. So if you want to follow along, definitely follow. But yeah, I mean, I think just for now, I'm just trying to be more open about my life and like what we're doing because it is cool. I think before I kind of downplayed it, but like looking at, this is not like a normal thing,
Yeah,
and especially
not at
what
all.
they're doing. These guys are unbelievably talented. Like I want to, promote it. So I guess that's what I have to say.
Hell yeah. Let them also know your social media, anywhere they can find you.
Okay. I'm on Instagram. It's ayan.broomfield, ayan.broomfield, as well as TikTok. It's the same handle. I think that's all I'm on.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for this. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming out here and giving me your time.
Of course.
As per usual, I'm Tori 212 Green on all platforms, Tea with Tori podcast on Instagram, and I will see you Spillers next Wednesday. Bye.